Let me show you the difference between a softbox and an umbrella. And what we're going to do is we're going to first start with a standard umbrella. And on this guy here, what we'll do is we have to leave this reflector on there. And what I'm going to do is grab this. And different lights have different ways of putting umbrellas on this guy.
That in while you talk.
Perfect. Just goes right on there like that. All right. And then what I want to do is have that touching the wall as close as possible. Bammo. Okay, a couple of things here. Depending on how you position the umbrella in relationship to the light, you can control or allow more or less spill. So, for example, if I let this light come out just a little bit, and let's say this was out a little bit, what we're getting is we're getting light that's spilling outside of the umbrella. See that? So there's light that's coming away from the umbrella. And so what will happen is if you're not aware of this, you can actually have light that's spilling and reflecting in areas that you may not want it to hit. And so you're not going to get the kind of light that you're looking for because light isn't being controlled in an umbrella necessarily. It's just falling off the sides and scattering everywhere. So you have to make sure that's in far enough. And if you have a zoomed reflector, just fill up the umbrella and nothing else. So you see how much light just changed there? This is really important if you're working in an environment that has a lot of white walls. Because if you want to control the light, make it directional, and you just miss that step because you're in a hurry, your light is just going everywhere. You're not going to get the kind of light that you want. So that's pretty important. Okay, so when we have that, the other thing to notice is look at how the light is falling. It's very, very soft. We like that. So you can't really see a transition area if I put my hand there. This is very, very soft light. And so we're going to get a great soft light source. But look at what's happening on the floor. This light is going all over the floor, and you can see my shadows here. So if we shoot with this, we're not only going to get the light that's coming from the umbrella, but we're also going to get reflected light from the floor, from the wall, from the ceiling. That light is going to go all over the place. It's nice, soft light. That's what we want, but we're not going to be able to restrict that light and really control where it falls. Okay? If we do a shoot-through umbrella, it's a very similar thing, but let's do a shoot-through umbrella. There you go. Got it. Thank you. If we do this, I'll zip this around. So we're shooting through this umbrella. Blammo. And now what we have here, we still have light spilling all over the place, but see, this is extremely soft light. And so the quality of light is just a little bit softer in my experience based on the size of the umbrella. So it's just this big umbrella. And also notice this isn't flat. It sort of wraps around. So what that means is when the light is coming out of that, it's going to be diffused in a different way than a flat softbox. So it's going to be coming out the side, it's going to be coming out the front, so it's hitting the floor, the ceiling, the walls. And so this is sort of like one of the Gary Fong light modifiers where it throws light everywhere, and then the softness of the light is coming both from the umbrella itself and the light coming off the wall, the floor, the ceiling, and everything else. You're surrounding your subject with light using the environment.
Yeah, with the shoot-through umbrella, you can bring it a lot closer to the subject.
Much, much closer, which is going to be important when we start talking about the inverse square law later today, I believe. So yeah, that is another big benefit.
Right. When you turn it around, the umbrella is what, 3-4 feet with the head?
Yes, so you can get your subject really, really close, which is something that's really fun to work with. All right, we have questions from online.
We do, and I have another umbrella question. This is from Photographics Miami. It wants to know if you can go over the difference between the effect yielded by a softbox versus a parabolic umbrella with the diffuser panel.
Yeah, we don't have a parabolic umbrella with a diffuser panel, but let me talk about what a parabolic anything is.
Perfect. Because
I keep talking about parabolic, and I'll just whiteboard this out. Okay. So maybe we can get some lights really fast as I'm whiteboarding a parabolic something. And yeah, so if these lights can come on really fast. This one. And I think we have, there you are. It's like I think we have a little pen, a la pluma. Yeah, is there John's figuring out the light there.
I don't want to hit the wrong switch.
There it is. Yeah, wrong switch, the whole thing. CreativeLive is down. What happened? John threw the wrong switch. Yeah, okay, a parabolic shape. So normally when you have a reflector, it's sort of a semicircle. And what happens is when light comes out of this thing here, it's just sort of bouncing all over the place. So light is coming out of a reflector, so you have your little light there, it's hitting this, and it's just sort of flopping around, it's going everywhere, right? It's just sort of throwing light all over the place. What a parabolic shape is, it's sort of an egg shape, and I know I'm not going to be able to draw this correctly because I'm not a very good artist. So that is not the right shape, but I'm not a good artist. But it's more deep. Yeah, so this is, Google this, parabolic. It's not this shape, but it's similar to this shape. It's more of an eggy kind of shape there. And so what happens is there is a point where this light, whatever light you have, the light that you're putting inside of the parabolic, anything, umbrella or reflector, that the light is focused. And so what happens is as the light is coming out of this, depending on where it hits this parabolic thing, it comes straight out. So when the light hits this, it comes straight out. So it hits this, it comes straight out. And so what you're getting is light that instead of bouncing all over the place, it's actually going straight. And so what happens is, and Lex, I'm going to have you come out here really quickly to sort of show, and maybe I can, I don't know if I have a picture of this. So what happens when you have light, I'm going to move you this way. When you have light that's coming straight on, and your camera and your parabolic umbrella or parabolic reflector or whatever it is, if you're on axis, what will happen is when the light hits straight on, it has extremely sharp fall off on the edges. And so what you'll get a lot of times is really amazing specular highlights on foreheads and on the front of arms, and like if you look at like bodybuilding magazines and like bikini shoots and stuff like that, you have these very nice glowy areas on the body and the abs and all that kind of stuff. But around the edges, there's almost like somebody took a magic marker and made a black outline because the light is just going straight. And so it creates these little shadows on the side. So we have that. Thank you for being a bodybuilder person. I'll see if I know we have a shot because we shot Lex with a big, huge parabolic umbrella. When I was showing you the thing we did in 60 seconds with Golden Hour, we used one of those, and you can see that in that shot. So I'll see if I can find that really fast. The other thing that happens with the parabolic is because the light is focused and it's going straight out, none of it is wasted. And so what happens is when you have a flash or any light, when that light either lights up or flashes, it's taking energy, electricity, and converting it into either light or heat. And so a more efficient light is going to create less heat and more light. And so once that light comes out of whatever the flash tube or light element goes, it has to go somewhere. It's all energy. And so what the parabolic umbrella or modifier does is it focuses all that stuff, shoots it straight out. So more of that light is reaching the subject, and so you're getting more bang for your buck, basically. And so you can use, instead of a normal umbrella, if you use a parabolic umbrella, you can get 1, 2, sometimes even 3 more stops of light to where it needs to be because that light is all going forward. And we have actually a parabolic umbrella here. I don't know if this is actually technically parabolic. It's parabolic-ish. Yeah, it's a deep umbrella. And so a deep umbrella is going to act more like a parabolic modifier than a shallow. It's going to be more energy going out. And so I will show you the shape of that. So see how that shape is?
Regular umbrella is pretty flat.
Yeah. So, and I know that like Braun has a much deeper, usually they're much deeper than this. So it's a more parabolic shape. We don't have, this is close to parabolic. It's not quite long enough in the front. So Profoto does have a parabolic. It's called I think a zoom something reflector, but it's really deep. And so when you use those things, it's really apparent because this light is just, wow, going that way. And then also, this reflector here is not parabolic, but it's engineered to work like a parabolic reflector. And so this shape is not that parabolic shape that I showed you, that I tried to show you, Google it. But it has, with these little bevels and stuff, this serves to focus light to have it more directional than just a flat surface. And same with that, the dimpled surface on this guy right here. What this does is, we're going to learn about something called angle of incidence a little bit later on. What these little dimples do, it's like this is the same texture as a basketball on here. And so when the light hits that, what these dimples do is it sort of scatters the light. And so that's how this gives us a little bit softer light than the other reflector, because this light is not only coming out in a very directional way, but it's also being scattered by all these little dimples inside here. And so it's not just a silver thing, it's engineered to actually scatter light in a very, very specific way. It's pretty crazy, isn't it? Like, yeah. I wish we had all the ProPhoto modifiers. There are hundreds of them. And they can be as simple as this, but there's no dimples. And so the specular highlights are just a little bit different than the dimply ones. Or this, but it's an inch shorter, and so you get this. It's pretty crazy. I have scheduled to go at some point in the next year or two a tour of the ProPhoto site, and I can't wait. Like, Candyland. Do we have questions before I keep going? Because we have a lot more to do.
There was one more part of that is when you put a diffuser over the parabolic.
Oh, yeah, when you put a diffuser of the parabolic, what you're doing is it's pretty awesome. So the parabolic is going to give you, if this is an umbrella, and you have a lamp in here, it's gathering all the light that it possibly can and throwing it into the diffusion panel. Boom, and now the light's going everywhere. And so what the benefit of that is, the parabolic part of that modifier is going to gather all the light and give it as much punch as possible to the diffusion panel, and so you're not wasting any energy. That's what's happening. So if you have a small speed light or something, you don't have a lot of energy to begin with, you want to gather all that you possibly can to get it out to where it needs to be. Does that make sense? Thank you for that.
Sure.
Okay, we have to keep chugging along.
Lights out?
I'm sorry?
Lights out again?
Yes, lights out, and then if you can take this and make it go somewhere beautiful. We're going to keep going. So any questions on umbrellas before we get to softboxes? No questions? Okay, we're going to get to a softbox now. And the softbox that we're going to start with is just a normal softbox with no diffusion. This is a 2x3, which is considered a medium-sized softbox. This softbox would be good for portrait photography, head and shoulders photography, headshots, things like that. This would be great for product photography, but it's not going to hold up for full-length shots, wedding dresses, things of that nature. It's going to change. So on this, I'll see if I can show this. I like to have this where the lamp comes way inside there, and it's actually showing up, because that way, when I close these little panels, the light is going to fill this entire thing. And what we want, so we want this to illuminate this softbox evenly from edge to edge. We don't want any hot spots in here. So one of the things that you'll get, I know I just told you to take that away. Can you bring that back? I'm like, why did I do that? One of the things that speed lights are infamous for when you're using a softbox, because they're so small that, and I will try to see if you can see this. I'm going to sort of blind you guys really fast. There's a hot spot right there. I don't know if you can see that. We'll do that a few times for the people at home. Yeah. How are you liking that? So yeah, I don't know if, well, I don't have I can't do my depth of field preview. But yeah, so you can get a little bit of a hot spot right there, which sort of defeats the purpose of having this diffusion. So the secret to that is most speed lights allow you to zoom the light. And so you want it on the widest possible setting, so 24 millimeters, 60 millimeters, so then the light's going to come out as wide as possible to fill up that softbox or umbrella or whatever it is that you're using. So traditionally, when you're using a speed light with a softbox or umbrella, you need to work with the zoom a little bit, because the wider the light, the better it is for a softbox, but not necessarily for an umbrella, because you're losing a lot of the punch. So sometimes you'll have to play with your speed light to figure out what the zoom setting is.
Sometimes the place where the little stove-in thing that goes on the front might help, but again, it drops a stop or so of power, so you're always fighting that with speed lights.
Always fighting that. We're going to talk about watt seconds and comparing how much energy a speed light has compared to a studio strobe later when we get to the science of that stuff. It is a significant difference. Very, very significant difference. All right, so let's take a look at this softbox really fast. When I put this over here, what we're seeing now, first of all, notice that this light is diffused, but back here, that light isn't showing up. The light that we're seeing right now, again, is sort of the spillover from our other video lights so that the chat host can be seen. But there is no light here coming from the softbox. And so if we were in an environment where we wanted to really control the light and not have it bounce off all the walls and stuff. Yesterday we talked about color cast from red walls and yellow walls and stuff like that. This is where umbrellas are not your friend, because an umbrella is going to scatter light across the entire room. and you will get some color cast coming back in. Whereas a softbox, see I'm standing right next to it, there's no light from the softbox here, is going to control that light. So we're going to get really nice soft light without having light bouncing all over the room. And the other thing that's really nice about a softbox is you can actually control that light even more by, and these are brand new speed rings, by putting on a grid. So let me put this grid on here. Put this on here. I didn't talk about what a speed ring is, so we'll cover that in a second here. So if I have this grid on there, now notice we're getting almost no spill on the background.
Will you show us the difference if you turn that horizontal too? Can you?
Yep, just like that. Notice this little light right here? See that down there? That's because I didn't close the panel. So you want to close the panel and make sure it's good. Do we have that 4x6? Let's bring this 4x6 out. I want to show you something else. And Lex, we're going to have you come out for just a second. We're going to show another little trick. Because the horizontal thing on a softbox, all right, we're gonna do this together. Ready? Put this on there. And lift it. There we go. Yeah.
It's locked.
Oh, it's locked. Oh, it's locked. All right, let's lock that again. Okay, got it. All right, so we have this very, very large softbox. And Lex, I'm going to have you come out here in front. All right. So if I'm shooting normally, notice the position of Lex and the position of this light. See how it's very forward? And the reason I have this forward is this light can now wrap around her. Okay, and we're feathering this light with it like this, as opposed to taking this light and just doing the obvious, which is putting it at a 45, which we could also do. And so we have those options. But the thing that I love to do with this softbox and with any large light modifier is to make it horizontal. And when I have this horizontal, what I can do, and Lex, I think I'm going to move you instead of the softbox because it'll be easier. Yeah, okay. Is I like to position the subject at different places. And so if we have Lex back here, we're going to have a lot of light coming around and wrapping around her. If we move Lex way up here, what we can do is we can use this light to spill on a background and illuminate this. It also illuminates her hair, and then we have nice soft light on the front. Or we can just put her right in the middle, and we have sort of the best of both worlds. So let me sort of show you that. So we're going to have you back up, back it up. There we go. And for this, I like to really move you close. I really want to have the subject as close as possible because of this thing called the inverse square law, which we're going to get to. And we're going to shoot a couple of shots with this softbox.
Fill or no?
I'm sorry?
Fill or no?
No fill yet.
Okay.
So, and the other thing with a light modifier like this, I can actually walk into it. I can get in there, and it's so big, it's just going to wrap around me. So I'm going to try to not get too close. Ka-chong. And what we're getting, and you guys can't see, is we are getting a nice, very, very soft light. We have light that's falling off. Let's have you move forward and move even more forward. Stop right there. Okay, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to move this back like this. Double duty on this light. Okay, and then we'll have you move back so you're about 6 inches behind that. About right there. And do this. Yeah, there you go. Got it, you got it. Add an eyelash. Can't have eyelashes. Move back just a little bit more. Perfect. This is going to be a much higher contrast image. Take a step this way. There we go, thank you. Awesome. Now, let me show you guys these two images.
Can you see it on here?
Oh, you guys can see it on there. So this second image here, you can see the difference between her back into that light and forward onto the light. What we have to do with this is we would add a different light on the other side to either fill in or add a reflector or some other things. And so this would act as a fill light instead of the key light. And these are terms we haven't explained yet, but it's not the main light that we would use. The other thing that we can do, have you step forward just a bit. And I do this a lot, and have you even step more forward. Good, just like that. And then do we have a white reflector?
Yeah, it's right here.
Get that? Actually, let's use the silver. So normally what I'll do is I'll use like a beauty dish or something this way, and then I shoot directly into this. And without, yeah, so let's put the beauty or the silver reflector right here. And then I'm going to overexpose this just a bit. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, so let's move this out of the way so you guys can see this. So John, maybe you can strike this 4x6 really fast so people can see what we're doing. That would be great. The studio is shrinking. It's shrinking. So what we have here on this first shot and the second shot, yeah, perfect. You can see it much clearer in the second shot. Normally what I'd do is I'd throw a beauty dish or something in here, but this is sort of like that natural light wraparound, beautiful light that we would get. And if you have a little bit more punch, you can get some amazing effects by just having this big white light wrapping around the subject, lowering the contrast intentionally on the subject. And you need some help with that? Here, I'll lift it up. There you go. This is a big job. Got it? Almost there. Almost there.
Don't want to hit the flash too.
There you go. Done. All right. Whew. Cool. So what we've done there is we've allowed this light to sort of wrap around. And Lex, you can sit down again. Thank you. On the second shot, you can sort of see a little bit how this would work. We have sort of this airy, light look. And so if we took that, I'm going to just sort of fudge this. I would definitely use this with a separate, instead of a silver reflector, I would have thrown in something like a beauty dish or some other reflector. We would take this, and it would actually look a little bit more like that. And then we would shoot this. Let's see. This is a tungsten light. Yeah. So just like that, we have the beginnings of a shot that doesn't look like it was shot in a studio with a big white box. Pretty crazy, right? And so, yeah, it's fun. You can see the specular highlights there are great. But we'll try to work with that a little bit more as the day progresses. But you can see there's all kinds of options. Yes, ma'am?
Can you gel that light inside a softbox?
You can.
And
Yeah, yep, you actually can. You can just throw a big piece of gel over this, and it's going to change the temperature, the color of the entire softbox. And with these lights, again, I don't want to talk about how amazing ProPhoto is, but with these guys, what you can do is this is actually a color correction dome, and so they have different flavors. You can get a 3200, you can get a different, so you can get these in different colors.
If you wanted that picture to look like it was sunlight that was blasting her, then...
Yeah, or we could do something maybe even simpler than that. Once I get this guy put back together. We could go into Lightroom, because we're shooting in RAW. And we could do maybe a preset. Let's see if we have a color preset here that's called Age Photo, No, Yesteryear. Yeah, so the one I was thinking of is not going to work, but you could sort of try to warm that up just a little bit.
So
It's making
on
it
that
orange.
particular photo, part of the actual image, you were actually getting the softbox, right? That,
Yeah, all of that white.
whole side is the softbox.
All the white is the softbox.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, and the reason it has that sort of dreamy, low contrasty feel is because the light was shining into the lens. Okay. And so that lowered the contrast. And you can even see, if I go in here, I can take this contrast and go and fix it, and it makes it look horrible. Right? We don't want that. We want it to be a lower contrast, kind of dreamier look. Yeah, it's sort of fun. So it's all the stuff we talked about earlier with light going into the lens and everything. This is a perfect time for any questions that are coming in before we sort of switch gears and go through our lighting styles.
Hey, Mark, we did have a question from Natasha. Wondering your advice on what kind of strobes or modifiers would you advise to use if you want to mimic natural light?
If you wanted to look like natural light on a person, well, that's tricky because there's all kinds of different natural light. There's hard natural light, soft natural light, open shade, etc.
I think they're maybe thinking window light.
Yeah, window light. What I would use is a big, huge softbox, square softbox, because you get the directional light. It looks square, like John was talking about. You can do side light. You can raise it and lower it and make it look like different times of the day. If we moved, let's say, Yeah, we don't have a shot here. I thought we did. But yeah, you can, that's what I would use, a big softbox.
Yeah, great, thank you.
All right, question from Beauty of the Lake. Do ProPhoto lights get hot? And do you have a recommendation for continuous lights that do not get hot, particularly for softboxes? I want to shoot children without worry of the lights being too hot for them. Would LED grids work?
Yeah, so maybe, John, we can turn this light back on again. There we go. Cool. I like being in the light. These lights, strobes don't get hot. They get hot, but they don't get hot like this video light that we had earlier where it was on, it was just like baking. And so what happens is these guys, since they are strobes, they flash and then they're done. What's happening though that makes them hot is, and I'll try not to blind everybody, this light that comes on, it's called a modeling light, and that does get hot. It gets pretty hot. If you're not shooting super close to a child, it's not gonna really be like a normal hot light that's always on. So this is not considered a hot light. So yeah, you wouldn't want to touch a kid with this because it would burn them. But 8 inches away, you're not really going to feel the heat of this light. And also, I don't know if you can hear this. Put my microphone over here. This has a fan in it. And so it's being cooled at all times to try to keep the heat from damaging the lamp and overheating the electronics. So yeah, it does get hot, but when you have a softbox or something on and you're using it, it's going to be fine for kids. LED lights are fantastic. The issue with an LED light is they have this quality that's unique to LED lights, and that is that the light fall off is extremely great. So the light goes like this, and it's done. So, and that's one of the drawbacks with LED lights. You can't really shoot at distances with them because of the way that the science works. It just sort of dies. And so the nice thing is they're really cool. The problem is you have to get them really close or get a bunch of them to get enough light out. And so I would recommend just a speed light or a strobe. And it depends on how young these kids are and that type of stuff, but flashes, I would recommend flashes.
Cool. And one more before we move on from Scott Hamilton. How many stops do you lose with a grid since the black is absorbing the stray light?
So you don't lose any light where the light is hitting necessarily. I don't know. We can meter that. So it depends on because you definitely are going to lose light because not all of it is getting there. It depends on the grid. We'll meter it on a breaker when we have some time, but it depends on the grid and the distance and all that stuff. So I would say, I don't know, maybe a stop, maybe 2 or 3. Cool. But we can meter it and see.